Use what to serve the dry ingredients? Your spoon, right? Okay, then when it gets to wet stuff, we're gonna have other people help serve. And then we have both non-dairy and regular whipped cream. And then you go back. But given the number, we're probably gonna start the video about 10 minutes into this, okay? Kabish kabash?
Yes.
Good? Do we have to have a table order?
Yes.
I think the president of parish council should start the line. Neil and Debbie, would you like to start the line?
Actually, we should be last.
I think you should be first.
Can I get my spot with one of these kids so they can get back to work?
Get back to work. Okay, I think just, if you want ice cream, get in line. Gotta move. No? Okay, I'll do tables. Yeah, right there. Let's start with Karen's table and the Polk table. Let me get some masks for
We need
people.
a cup.
You need the cup at your table or you need extras? Okay, here you go.
That'll work.
This is way more people than that.
Thank you.
Yep, turn this off.
Yeah. Hey. I want to try on this hat.
Is this the kids' table? I'll have a look at the schedule. Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Oh, you gonna come shop for people? Well, we were just thinking, we're way ahead. So, as long as we get to the hymns, we're leaving 40 minutes for this. And then we have 20 after that. So that's an hour. So we can't start any later than 7:30. So I think we're gonna. Because if they can't, if they don't watch it, they can't talk about it. And we have questions for them to talk about it. So I say we shoot for around 7:20. 7:20, 7:25. It's taking a while for the stuff. I mean, if we do it now, they're not gonna hear anything. And we have time, see, because we got through the first part quicker. And we're budgeting about 40 minutes for the two videos and talking. And then this is only gonna take at the most another 20. So that's an hour and it ends at 8:30. We're not even, the 7:30 is really what we need, but we leave more room for talking if we start it sooner. Okay, does that sound good? I think you need to cut lines. I divide the C for you. No, we just figured it out. Because the first part was way faster. Then you went to the part. Well, this is like, how many? Right around here? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's good to know.
Never been to like the Charleston, South Carolina area in the low country where the gullah. Wow. Grasses. They have two tiny. I'm leaving in the morning. Oh my God. So that yeah, but don't have to be different. Hold on, you know, kind of gotta keep the file. Don't make my file, I don't know how I got there. No regrets, no more regrets. We did this to my and I feel good, you know, because my girlfriend told me, because her husband made them stuff, I just killing myself. So, yeah, no regrets. It's tough, it's so hard. Oh my God, it's hard. Wow. I've never I've been, you know, I've been in Texas for a long time. That's what I thought. Really just mine. Oh no. It's always a fall. It sure is. And we finally got
Now you're on.
What's that?
Your mic's on there.
I'm just gonna start talking about what's coming. Don't worry, you got time to go. So, we got any Downton Abbey fans in the house? No? No Downton Abbey? Oh, never mind. Never mind, doesn't matter then. Oh, couldn't hear me?
I walked up the yeah, right. And carried somebody on my foot.
Okay, we're going to show this video shortly, like in about 2 minutes, once the Cheneys get through the bar. Now that it's quiet, has anyone watched Downton Abbey in here? One, two, good men. I know some of you men do watch, right? All right, Hugh Bonneville, isn't he awesome? No, yeah, okay. He is going to narrate the story behind a well-loved hymn. And it's pretty powerful, and we're going to watch it. And then we have some things for you to think about and talk about at your tables. All right? Somebody's phone. Sounds like my phone.
Test on the words.
Christmas Eve, Christmas Eve, on her Now, Christmas is, of course, a time for celebrating new birth. It's a time for family, for giving. And in my house, anyway, we always raise a toast to absent friends, to those we have lost. And we share stories about them, bringing them back to life in our memory. And the account I want to share with you this Christmas season is just such a story. It's about a family who, in the darkest moments of life, found the hope and peace we associate with this season, the true spirit of Christmas, how it transformed them and also has blessed this world. In mid-November 1873, an ocean liner, the Ville de Havre, set sail from New York bound for France, with 313 passengers on board. One can imagine their festive Atlantic crossing, with ribbons of red, swags of evergreen, and Christmas carols wafting through a dining room sparkling with candlelight. In a few days, they would make landfall in Europe, just in time for Christmas in Paris. Anna Spafford and her 4 little girls were among the delighted passengers. They had come from Chicago. Annie, aged 11, Margaret Lee, 9, Bessie, 5, and little Tanetta, aged 2. Their father, Horatio, had intended to sail with them, but was detained on business. Not to worry, he assured his wife and children. He would book his passage in a few days, and soon they would be reunited in Paris, the city of light, celebrating the season of goodwill. And goodwill is what they needed. 2 years earlier, the Great Chicago Fire had all but destroyed Horatio's business interests. So this journey was intended to restore hope and bring healing into their lives. Once on board the ship on the evening of November the 22nd, Anna and her girls knelt down, said their prayers, and fell asleep, dreaming of the Yuletide festivities to come. But at about 2 o'clock in the morning, they were suddenly jolted awake in their berths. Despite a clear, starry sky, the Ville de Havre had inexplicably collided with the Loch Earn, an iron-hulled Scottish clipper. Lifeboats quickly filled with people. Many passengers leapt into the icy waters. Anna tried desperately to keep her children together, but the 2 eldest became separated in the confusion. Just 12 minutes after the impact, a wave washed over the deck, and Anna was drawn under, together with her 2 youngest daughters. She held on to 5-year-old Bessie until her strength gave out. Her last memory was of 2-year-old Tanetta in her lace nightgown, torn from her grasp, getting smaller and smaller, until she too finally disappeared. Later, the crew of the Loch Earn found Anna unconscious, floating on a wooden plank. When the ship docked in Wales, Anna sent a telegram to her husband. It read, "Saved alone. What shall I do?" Horatio immediately sailed from New York. He wrote to a friend, "There is just one thing in these days that has become magnificently clear. I must not lose faith." 4 days into his voyage, on a Thursday evening, the captain summoned Mr. Spafford to the foredeck. By the crew's calculations, they were nearing the very place where Anna's ship had gone down, taking with it their 4 daughters, now resting some 3 miles below. But Horatio refused to look down. "I did not think of our dear ones there," he later recounted. Instead, he gazed out across the rolling waves and up into moonlit sky. There and then, he began to formulate a simple expression of his faith, a verse that would become a hymn. "When peace, like a river, attendeth my way, when sorrows, like sea billows, roll, whatever my lot, thou hast taught me to say, it is well. It is well with my soul." Only a few weeks earlier, in the same place on the open sea, Anna had experienced a similar awakening. After her rescue, when she'd regained consciousness, she was overcome with despair and simply wanted to throw herself back into the ocean. What was life worth now? What could it ever be without her children? But then, it was as if she heard a voice in her mind and her heart. "You are spared for a purpose, Anna. You have a work to do. Once they had returned to Chicago, Horatio sought the support and prayers of his congregation to help him face the dire financial straits in which he found himself. Anna gave birth to a boy and then a girl. But sorrow upon sorrow, that son, Horatio Jr., succumbed to scarlet fever at the age of 3. Then, a year later, another daughter was born. Only 2 of their 7 children lived to maturity. But the Spaffords never yielded hope. Through that harrowing Christmas season of 1873, the Spaffords became even more certain that God loves all his children, whoever they are, and whatever tribulations they may suffer. In 1881, the family moved to Jerusalem and established there an American colony not far from the little town of Bethlehem. We celebrated Christmas. Although deeply religious, their purpose was not to proselytize, but to serve people of all backgrounds, relieving the effects of poverty, disease, and strife wherever it was found. 7 years later, Horatio himself died. Grieving once again, Anna Spafford had every reason to give up, but she did not. Every life has contradictions and imperfections, and hers was no exception. But when it mattered most, in her most profound spiritual crisis, when all seemed lost, Anna found the strength to move forward and to turn outward, to continue the work she and her husband had begun. And the seed of service which they had planted bore sweet fruit indeed. In time, their daughter Bertha expanded the Spaffords' humanitarian work with the simple intent of rescuing those who had experienced the shipwrecks of life as they had. During World War I, she led the way in organizing soup kitchens for refugees. She also oversaw hospitals for wounded soldiers on all sides of the conflict. One Christmas Eve, on her way to Bethlehem, Bertha met a Bedouin man, his ailing wife, and their newborn son traveling to Jerusalem by donkey. Later, Bertha wrote, "Here stood before me a rustic Madonna and babe, and similar to Mary's plight, there was no place for them to stay." By the next morning, the mother had died, and Bertha was asked to take care of the child. She agreed. She named the little boy Noel. And within the week, she had taken in 2 more orphaned babies. And so began the Spafford family's most enduring charitable work, a hospital for children. She explained, "We make no distinction in nationality or creed, the only requirement being that people absolutely need our help." And some of the Spafford's charitable work continues to this day in the Children's Center that bears the family name. For nearly 150 years, millions have sung and have been lifted by Horatio's hymn, but most have not been aware of the circumstances in which it was written. But they have been strengthened by its universal message. Horatio's words echo with the story of Christmas. A child was born in Bethlehem, bringing peace on earth and goodwill toward men. Because of him, and through his example, the human spirit can rise above tragedy. Whenever, however, we suffer our own night of sorrow, God's love does shine in the darkness. Hope can heal the wounded soul, and the Christmas work of giving, of loving, serving, and of rescuing is ours if we choose to make it so. And as we do, we join with saints and angels to rejoice and sing. It is well. It is well with my soul.
So do you suppose the inspiration behind that song maybe has something to do why it has become a favorite of so many? How many of you were familiar with that story beforehand? Handful of you, yeah. Pretty powerful. We thought it would be good for all of us to just spend a few minutes reacting to the inspiration to that song at your tables. And to do that, you'll see these little papers. You can just chat about what you saw and react to it, or we've given it just a few ideas of things to talk about, because your story of dealing with hardship and receiving transforming life from the Lord is powerful, just like that story, just like the story of Job. There's so many. How nice it ended on a happy note, huh? That doesn't leave us in the depths. So we hope that you will enjoy a few minutes of talking together, looking at the questions on the back, and it'll get nice and noisy in here. You guys want to talk
Sure,
with these people here?
sure.
Great, awesome. So, because I did not know that. Very good. Very good. Words. Okay. Oh, was it? Unbelievable choir. Oh, wow. That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, really. Yes. Yes, you. Sounded as good as it might not feel that story and how they respond to the tragedy. Everything. Yes, everything.
So it works that way, yeah. Wow. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it is. What's a tough question? Your word is question. I love that word. No. So what equips someone to say it is well designed? What is it? Oh my gosh. That was an awesome play too, by the way. It is, yeah. Family, church family, community of friends. Stuff happens and how do you think about it through by yourself? That's what happens. Hold on to mine. That's what I do. Yes. Yeah. Really? Oh, yeah.
We good?
Real good.
Our tables, are we good? Good. Are you driving? No. So there's lots of rich conversation happening, and that's awesome. And these stories can continue to happen when you run into each other, right? Originally, what we were going to do next was to show another video. We're not going to because of the time, with contemporary Christian music that you might not be as familiar with, a band called Mercy Me, and picked out a song called Even If. Any of you know it? It's a great song. You can Google it. It's called Even If, and it's a similar situation. Somebody just dealing with a real burden in their life. We all get them. If you haven't had them yet, you're gonna, right? Right. And how we encounter God there, and what gives us the ability to trust and hope and see Him deliver the situation. So, Even If is a contemporary Christian, upbeat, louder song with the same message, different generation. So we were going to compare them. So you can Google it. It's a really great song. So now we're going to sing some more. Now that you have ice cream down your throat, which Sharon said is the worst time for singing, we'll do the last 4 hymns.
So the next hymn that we're going to sing is We All Are One in Mission. It is not in our hymnal, but we're going to have words here on the screen shortly. There we go. All right, so let's sing together.
We all are one in mission. We all are one in cause.
Wait a moment. We're not all one, we're only us.
We are one.
Unanimous.
We are one.
I was wondering if I should say something.
I felt kind of alone.
We all are one in mission. We all are one in call. Our very gifts united by Christ the Lord of all. For sing a great commission compels us from above. So plan and work together, that all may know Christ's love. Now let us be united, and let our song be heard. Now let us be a vessel from God's redeeming word. We all are one in mission. We all are one in call. Our very gifts united by Christ the Lord of all.
Isn't there a great variety in what you have chosen? I was very interested to see the different choices that came in. Our next one is In the Garden. It is in our hymnal. It is number 242, verse 1 and 3.
I come to the garden alone, all the dew is still on the roses, and the voice I hear falling on my ear, the song on me be falling, but he bids me go through the voice of hope. His voice to me is calling. And he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own. And the joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known.
Now we have one of my favorites, but I didn't make the list. So number 532 in our hymnal is Be Thou My Vision.
Be thou my vision, O Lord of my heart, not be all else to me, save that thou art. Thou art thought by day or by night, waking or sleeping, thy presence, my Lord. My King of heaven, my victory won, may I reach heaven's joys so bright and sun. Not of my own heart, whatever befall, still be my vision, our ruler of all.
And now we have How Great Thou Art, which is number 21 in the hymnal, verse 1 and 4.
O Lord my God, when I in awesome wonder consider all the works thy hand hath made, I see the stars, thy gate of mighty thunder, but not throughout the universe displayed. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Savior God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. When Christ shall come, with shout of acclamation, and take me home, what joy shall fill my heart? Then I shall
Now we have a wonderful benediction video about the hymn Blessed Assurance. And I think you will enjoy it. You will have to read the story. If anyone can't see the screen and wants somebody to read it to them, I'd be happy to come around and read it. It's a very touching story of how this hymn came to be. We have so many blessings in life. Let's sing Blessed Assurance, which is 514 in your hymnal, and this will be our final prayer. I hope you've enjoyed this evening. We have. We enjoyed putting it together for you. Maybe we can do it again sometime. I'm thinking maybe Christmas. I think that would be fun. All right, 514 verses 1 and 3.
Blessed assurance, Jesus is mine. Oh, what a foretaste of glory divine, heir of salvation, purchase of God, born of His Spirit, washed in His blood. This is my story, this is my song, praising my Savior all the day long. This is my story, this is my song, praising my Savior. song. This is my story, this is my song, praising my Savior all the day long. This is my story, this is my song, praising my Savior all the day long.
Thank you all for being here. Yes, you may. Bill has an announcement.
Okay, guys, listen.
Colorful poster up there. They said no to the Harmoneers, so they could not present their wonderful concert. Here, November 11th, for the veterans. But along with that announcement, it was the leader. Bradford Baptist Church said, you can have it at our church. So the Harmoneers are going to be singing at Bradford Baptist Church. They crossed out for the
Okay, just put it on the table.
I would put it on camera.
Thank you.
It's interesting because when you stand up there,
Good to see
Oh,
y'all.
great to see you also.
You too. Hi, sweetheart. Good to see you, man. Yay. Thank you, Sharon.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, how are you?
Thank you
Nicely
for
done. That was enjoyable. What a treat. The ice cream was also good too.
That was nice.
they say sometimes you win some, sometimes